Well, the tensions between Iran and Israel has escalated significantly. What does it mean for the entire region and, in turn, the entire world? We'll try and find answers to some of those questions. Joining me at this moment is John Rossomando, defense and counterterrorism analyst. I also have Dr. Richard Benkin, commentator and author. Mr. John Rossomando, give me your assessment of the strikes on the Iranian nuclear facilities before I ask you other questions.
Well, I'd say that the strikes on the facilities show the extent of Israel's intelligence penetration of Iran. I mean, it's amazing. You know, they took out the chief of the army, the chief of the IRGC, and all the way down. Natanz, their main facility for enrichment, is a smoldering ruin. You have precision attacks all over Tehran. So I think that this sends a message. The United States knew in advance about these attacks. So I just love to know what Trump said to Netanyahu. But he probably said, go ahead and do it. This way the United States doesn't have its fingerprints directly on attacking the Iranians. But now is a very dangerous time for America because Iran could turn around and attack our bases by virtue of our closeness. And there's supposed to be another round of talks on Sunday, but considering the developments, it's interesting to see where those will go.
Right. Before I go to Dr. Richard Benkin, I also want to understand the escalation pathways and the red lines here. What, in a military sense, Mr. John Rossomando, would constitute a red line for both Iran as well as Israel here?
Well, I think that we're already at the red line. I mean, I think that it's interesting, how the Iranians, were caught off guard. I mean, you had Mossad, operations teams taking out Iranian ballistic missile launchers, attacking Iranian military targets. In person. Now they're saying that most of those teams were all made up of Iranians. So that shows the degree of discontent in Iran, because it shows that the Mossad is able to turn the Iranians against their own government.
Right. Let me go across to Dr. Richard Benkin. Dr. Benkin, as far as Israeli motivation for these strikes are concerned, and especially the nuclear sites that they have struck, what is the rationale behind Israel's reported strikes on these facilities? And do you think it is aimed at crippling Iran's nuclear program? Is it sending a strong deterrent message, or is it something else?
Okay, thank you. First, thank you for having me on. First of all, I very much agree with everything my counterpart just said. I'm familiar with your work and have been a fan for a while. With regards to that, first of all, let's get something straight. For years, since 1979, Iran has made it clear in their words and in their actions they are dedicated to eliminating the state of Israel. Now, we Jews have learned for a long time that when people say that, we need to take them seriously at it. Now, in October, when Iran sent hundreds of cruise and ballistic missiles against Israel, Israel fortunately was able to get rid of them, intercept most of them. Those that got through didn't really do anything. But let's think for a moment. If one or more of them were carried a nuclear warhead, it really wouldn't have mattered if Israel had gotten rid of everything else, because no deterrent, no dome is ever perfect. It wouldn't have mattered. It would have been a mass casualty event, and could have repercussions for everyone, not just Israel. So there really was no choice. Israel had to make sure that Iran never got a nuclear weapon, and quite frankly, it was great that when the United States got a president who held the same position, that Iran can't get a nuclear weapon. We're seeing that President Trump tried to give Iran the opportunity of an off-ramp through negotiations. When that failed, it really was inevitable that Israel would do this. So I think it's more than just a message. And I think this could end in a couple ways. Either the Israeli strikes can continue to degrade Iran's ability, which is pretty low at this point now anyway. And we know their proxies aren't going to act. Hezbollah has said specifically that they're not going to act. It could either end that way, or it could end with regime change in Iran. I think the only message they're trying to send is that the Iranian people now have an opportunity to regain their freedom.
Right. I also want to talk about this very important thing, the nuclear talks between the United States and Iran. It is quite unlikely to go ahead. Dr. Benkin, what does it mean in the larger context now?
Well, I think all it means is that these things now are out on the table. The United States has done everything it could do to give Iran an option to get out of this without a military solution, and Iran rejected it. Specifically, too, the United States had a red line that Iran could no longer continue to enrich uranium, and that they would help Iran get the uranium for a peaceful nuclear program, which, by the way, is only, I think, 3.6% enrichment. Iran then said, well, we have a red line. We will never give up our enrichment of uranium. At that point, game over. At that point, both sides said, we're not crossing our red lines. You guys are on the other side of it. And as I said, this became inevitable. It was just a matter of when, where, how, what subterfuges were involved. So I really think that the whole notion of a negotiated end to this is really out the window at this point. I think the only way that that's going to happen is if there's regime change in Iran.
Right. John Rossomando, the IDF, it has claimed, and this is what we are getting right now, it has claimed that Iranian nuclear facilities, they have been destroyed. Will this calm down the situation? Will this calm down things? Because from my assessment, from what I understand, it is quite unlikely.
I agree with my counterpart. The only thing that's going to end this is putting Prince Reza back on the throne of Iran and the end of this regime. Because this regime has one goal and one goal alone, which is the destruction of Israel. I mean, if we leave them in place, they will rebuild. It might be 2 or 3 years, but with support from Russia and China, they'll recover. But I think that this is a step in the right direction for Israel, because the only reason that Iran would want a nuclear weapon is to kill the Israelis, and I totally agree with my counterpart that if you had a nuke on one of those missiles, it would have been catastrophic, and it would have resulted in Israel using nuclear weapons against Iran. Yeah. So, this is winning the war to win the peace.
All right, John Rossomando and Dr. Richard Benkin, thank you very much for speaking with NDTV and sharing your views. The Middle East, remember, is on a brink at the moment. And this entire conflict between Israel and Iran, it has escalated, it has exploded into an all-out offensive. We'll have to wait and watch how things develop from here.